Coming up on the news, Electoral Commission begins receiving applications for proxy voting.
Also in this bulletin, Ghana Post unveils peaceful election stamps. And
Kenya bans night weddings in Mombasa after robberies. It is Wednesday, the 17th day of the month of August in the year 2016. Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us here on GBC24 as well as on GTV. My name is Abdul Hayi Momen.
And my name is Akpene Avo Ajaja. Thanks so much for joining us for News Hour. Robert Frimpomans is also here. He will do the sign language translation of the news.
The National Labour Intensive Public Works Policy has been launched in Accra. The blueprint is to ensure an improvement in the living conditions of the economically active poor in society.
This is to be achieved through the expansion of income earning opportunities and accelerated economic development in the country.
The National Labour Intensive Public Works Policy was developed based on historical employment interventions implemented by past governments and the available demographic statistics and data on employment in Ghana. The strategy is expected to create job opportunities, transfer employable skills, and strengthen existing social protection programs. The policy will also ensure greater participation of the private sector and enhancement of capacities for local economic development. The Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development are spearheading implementation of the policy with support from the World Bank.
Providing employment for the economically active poor, no doubt, will be made possible under the labor-intensive public works. There are many of our young people who are without skills or who are with skills that are not employable. That category of young people will benefit from a labor-intensive public policy.
In 2011, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development commenced the implementation of labor-intensive public works as a pilot project under the World Bank funded Ghana Social Opportunities Project. Since then, the project has been expanded from an initial number of 40 districts to 60 districts with a corresponding budget of 70.8 million United States dollars.
The president of the National House of Chiefs, now Professor John S. Nabila, said policies must have positive impact on the people and anything short of that must be discouraged.
Policies for jobs in one country can have a spillover effect to another country, both positively and negatively. The most important issue is whether the coordination mechanisms could influence policy decisions to enhance the positive spill over and mitigate the negatives.
The chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Kwesi Botry, launched the National Labour Intensive Public Workers Policy.
As a country, our infrastructure needs are huge. And so to address these needs, we need to be thinking of creative, lower cost options for providing local infrastructure needs and achieving the expected outcomes for transformational change.
Social partners such as the Ghana Employment Association and the World Bank pledged their support for the implementation of the policy.
Now on state of the race. The Electoral Commission is receiving applications for proxy voting beginning today, August 17, 2016 till Monday, September 26, 2016. A registered voter who wishes to apply for voting by proxy is required to visit the Commission's head office or the Commission's district office in his or her constituency not later than 26th September 2016 together with his or her appointed proxy to be processed. Alternatively, the appointed proxy may pick the proxy forms on behalf of the applicant to be completed and returned to the Commission's district office before 26th September 2016. Now, to qualify to vote by proxy, the applicant must be a registered voter who, due to ill health or absence from his or her constituency, will be unable to vote on election day. The applicant cannot appoint more than one person at the same time as a proxy. We earlier spoke to the head of communications at the EC, Mr. Eric Jakwasu, on the proxy voting exercise.
The law says that anyone, a registered voter, who may be due to ill health, will not be able to go to the polling station, is incapacitated and may not be able to go, or a voter who may be absent from the constituency, okay, is allowed to appoint a proxy. It means you need to look for somebody who is a registered voter, you pick the proxy form, and then fill it and submit it to the commission. Then when the commission and the returning officer are satisfied that you qualify for a proxy in the sense that you are a registered voter, your proxy will be assigned to a polling station, preferably the polling station where you vote. Okay, then the name of your proxy will be put on the proxy list. The form will be filled in a quadruplicate. The original will go to the returning officer of the constituency where you are applying for the proxy. A duplicate will be kept by the commission. A triplicate will be given to the proxy, and you, the applicant, will have one. So if the proxy is accepted and processed, come election day, your proxy after voting is allowed to vote again at the same polling station.
And that was an earlier interview with the head of communications at the EC, Mr. Eric Jakwasu. Moving on, the New Patriotic Party has reacted to issues that have come up after the NDC launched its campaign for the 2016 elections. According to the NPP, the NDC failed to concentrate on its own achievements, but rather focused on the candidate of the NPP, Nana Akufo-Addo. President Mahama, according to the NPP, could not speak on issues around unemployment, a failing economy, massive borrowing and corruption. In a statement, the General Secretary of the NPP, Mr. John Boedu, said the NPP will fix the democratic deficit by abolishing the appointment of DCEs and MMCEs by the President and curb the concentration of power in the presidency, among others.
Akufo-Addo believes that it is time to deepen democracy and democratic accountability in Ghana. The NPP message for this election is hinged on Nana Akufo-Addo's vision of boosting economic activity by creating and supporting viable industries in every geographical corner of this country. This is based on his commitment to create a free and prosperous society of opportunities for every Ghanaian, regardless of circumstances of birth, such as geography. The one district, one factory industrialization policy is at the heart of this. But aware of the facilitating nature of good governance to economic activity, the NPP promises to undertake significant reforms to improve service delivery at the grassroots level. Ghana needs it if we are to recalibrate the structural centuries-old development imbalance that exists. That is why the New Patriotic Party intends to make the case for, and when necessary, take these democratic issues to the country in a referendum. Amongst these, as articulated by Nana Akufo-Addo in his speeches, are
abolish the DC and MC being directly appointed by the president. Let the locals directly elect their DCs and MCs. Increase fundings to district assemblies. Give the regions and districts greater control of their priorities. Create new regions where necessary.
Meanwhile, at the same news conference in Accra, the New Patriotic Party said the High Court ruling on the case by Mr. Paul Afoko on his suspension as chairman of the party is a confirmation of the party's resolve to operate on the principles of rule of law, discipline, and equality before the law.
The court held that the procedure and processes that led to the suspension were lawful, just, and fair. No member is above the constitution of the party. We are proud of these credentials. If the president's way is to tolerate and shield those who are corrupt and sin against the laws of the land, then that is not the kind of standard we should force upon the New Patriotic Party. That is who we are, and it is with these unyielding principles that we will serve our country if given the opportunity. We stand and compete united, disciplined and focused on the 2016 campaign for change, and equally confident of victory come December 7th.
As part of efforts to promote the participation of persons with disabilities in this year's election, the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations has launched a set of guidelines that highlights challenges that persons with disability encounter when participating in election processes. The Federation has also recommended measures that will promote their inclusion and active participation.
And use as the tool to be able to deal with persons with disabilities or issues regarding persons with disability. The guidelines are in several sections. The first section of the guidelines has to do with some of the challenges that persons with disabilities are facing when it comes to what? Voting. And the challenges we encounter are challenges with access to what? The physical venue, that is the polling stations where the elections are being conducted. Having talked about the issue of physical accessibility, comes the issue of information accessibility. Before you can go and vote, you should be an informed voter before the election day. For you to be informed, you need to get access to information.
We'll return now to some political matters. As you know, President Mahama is in the Western region as he continues with his campaign. He called for the re-election of the National Democratic Congress on the evidence of the party's fulfillment of its social contract with the electorate. The president said the governing party has ticked away most of the items in its last manifesto, a fact he said must be the basis for NDC's retention in power to deliver on its new pledges to improve the livelihoods and incomes of the people.
NDC controls 17 of the 26 parliamentary seats in the Western region, a pointer to the party's dominance of the region many call a swing one. President Mahama kick-started his 2016 campaign here on the heels of a tour by the candidate of the largest opposition party. At all places the president made stops, he reminded the people of the massive infrastructure put in place for Ghana's socio-economic transformation. He said this and other interventions constitute the foundation upon which to build the superstructure in the next 4 years. President Mahama was welcomed by an enthusiastic crowd right from Agona Kwanta in the Hunter West constituency.
Was a constitutional Ochoy, was a president, Yeyina, Otibijina, Odi Fienai, Chi, Yetimito Abamano, Manosa, Ejina, and Fienai, Mewa. Aha, na Yaman Penny Kane, President Kufo, Okana Assembly there. Was the first 4 years, Yetu abama wa obeye o mampenino. I don't know what the two foundation. Na second 4 years oka ho no na e de pagya dan no. Choboy, buya. And first 4 years, you have two foundation, papa. Now, there, Obiato foundation, now Obiabesi dan SC foundation, so 1 year of them. And the SC foundation, no. And the minimum there, Ghana for my 4 years, I come home. Now, you're the Peja Dino SC home.
He stopped at Ebura on his way to Axim to interact with the crowds. The president, who was given the title Ferenyi Kweja III by fishermen in the central and western regions, was warmly welcomed. Awulai Atebrukusu is the paramount chief of Lower Axim traditional area.
NDC government. Another year government and NDC for one. Yamomo, Yamowayuko, Wawajuma Pa ye, Zima Pa Ayama, a farfo. And Kanka premise. Otu baby no was on Kaba. A farfo was a minko. Was a minja one name Namda Wasi. The premise, Otu baby Yanamdo Kaba. Bawadom, Wada Oroma.
The former national best farmer, a fisherman from Azim, in the person of Ebenezer Afo, lauded President Mahama for what he called symbolic leader of fishermen. The president told the people to re-elect the NDC.
And then most of the things that Dr. Nkrumah here, and one egusu yusu. From Akosombo Dam, Abra Usi Akosombo Dam, almost your Sega Nesika, now a Bogana ka, Nagana ka Dawson, and T. Mosi, and then Akosombo Dam Niwa, Anka Ghana way. And this was a man of vision. And then the same thing. The Kwamanoni near Kojibusia, Yedisi Hospital, send a ya mine, Nipa Pomudimba Quenim. Yesisi schools, ya quine, ya train light manipa, ye tunsio, send a beya, Nipa Benya Supa Anom Omonyari.
Fishermen in the area received outboard motors as part of the consignment released at Axim. Elubo, one of Ghana's border towns to Cote d'Ivoire, came alive when President Mahama arrived in the town. He said development will reach every corner of Ghana under NDC as the basis for changing lives and transforming the country. He said one important criterion for assessing NDC's performance in the western region is continued rehabilitation of roads.
Back in the national capital, Ghana Post has unveiled 5 new peaceful election stamps. The 5 stamps, which bear peace captions, are to be used to preach peace and stability in the run-up to the December polls. The stamps also used as denominative stamps for posting of letters.
The initiative by Ghana Post is in furtherance of their aim to contribute their quota to ensure peaceful elections, since they cannot operate in an atmosphere of violence and instability. Each stamp bears a message of peace meant to travel to the recipients of each post wherever the location. The new stamps are captioned Edinkra Funtumfunifu, Negative Impact of War, Speak Peace, Words Can Kill, and We Stand for Peace. Recounting traumatic events in Rwanda, Sierra Leone and Liberia, the managing director of Ghana Post, Mr. Eric Yao, said unguarded speech can incite violence and mar the peace that the country enjoys today.
We in Ghana cannot afford to sit unconcerned as people make unguarded statements which could incite violence. These are the same things that took place in countries like Sierra Leone, Liberia, Rwanda, where people sat and did not react or did not speak out.
The deputy chair in charge of operations at the Electoral Commission, Mr. Amadou Sule, said the EC is working consistently within the legal framework of the country to ensure credible polls come December.
The Commission is adhering to the guiding principles of electoral justice, that is leaning on the law, the legal framework. 2, transparency and participation, accountability, integrity, timeliness, accuracy. These are all guiding principles, and we are ensuring that we link to that.
The board chairman of Ghana Post, Brigadier General J.K. Klobodo, retired, said Ghanaians must put their shoulders to the wheel to ensure that Ghana's enviable record of organizing peaceful elections is kept intact. A pack of the new stamps went for 1,000 Ghana cedis. For GBC24, Shirley Bewa reporting.
Hello again, my name is Morris Ogbete. Let's do business. Big story tonight. Oil production from the Trinidad and Yera in Tome 10 fields is expected to begin tomorrow, August 18. Now, the joint venture project led by Talo Ghana is expected to produce about 300 million barrels of oil over its lifetime, approximately 20 years. President John Mahama, who is currently on a campaign tour of the Western region, will join officials of the Petroleum Ministry and project engineers to officially inaugurate oil production by FPSO Professor John Evans Atta Mills to mark another major milestone in Ghana's oil and gas sector. The field will produce 80,000 barrels of oil per day when it reaches full production. It will also produce an average of 30 million standard cubic feet of gas per day over the next 5 years and expected to reach 100 million standard cubic feet of gas per day by 2032. And let's go to Tema, where transit truck drivers at the Tema Transit Yard can now cart their goods to their various destinations. This follows the arrival of 400 mandatory tracking devices, which ran out a couple of days ago. GBC24 checks revealed that the yard has been decongested days after transit trucks drivers were delayed at the port.
GCNet, the company responsible for bringing the devices in, received 400 new devices. They have been able to decongest the yard, and so on the 12th, 232 trucks were loaded, and then on the 13th, 119 were also loaded. Let me also say that before the 400 devices arrived, they had 140 in circulation, and so those ones that were stuck, that is the 1,400 had also arrived to augment the 400 that have been received from the port. So now we can confirm that the port is decongested, and they are doing more to ensure that the trucks do not get stuck, and as and when they come, the devices are made available for them to move. But let me quickly also add that in terms of curtailing further delays at the port, the GCNet guys have been able to put in request 425 devices to be received in September, and in November they are also receiving another 425, because as we get closer to the Christmas season, the yard will receive more goods, and so to be able to make sure that we don't see this thing coming or repeating itself, we are putting requests for 425 new devices, which we are receiving in September and November, so that we don't see these delays anymore.
Right, thank you very much. Michael Dowano is our Tema correspondent, and he tells us that there is. And back here in Accra, a tax policy advisor, Dr. Labisian, says a transparent and open tax system backed by tax laws will help secure the tax base and maximize revenue in Africa. Dr. Labisian was speaking at the opening of a 3-day training on taxation in Accra.
In tax in low tax jurisdictions. rather than reducing tax in high-tax jurisdiction or a combination of both. The best example is the European Union, where all countries must have a value-added tax of at least 15%. In order for West African countries to have harmonized tax and improve their tax base, a 3-day training on international initiatives has been organized. The training focuses on providing participants with an improved understanding of current initiatives targeted at securing the base globally and how tax harmonization is relevant to West African revenue authorities. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. George Blankson, said there is the need for revenue professionals to build their capacity and improve their skills.
With the business environment and taxpayers getting increasingly complex and sophisticated as a result of improved technology, processes and practices, it has become more urgent for professionals and tax administrators to improve their professional skills through regular and continuous training in order to keep pace with or even stay one step ahead of the sophistication that is fast developing in the business of revenue mobilization.
A tax policy advisor, Dr. Labisian, said since taxes may be barriers to the free movement of goods, services, or production factors, the adjustment to integration should be examined.
I believe that if West African countries are to minimize their revenue collection to enable them meet the legitimate aspiration and demands of the citizenry, then it is important to secure its tax base. Indeed, securing a country's tax base will positively impact on its domestic revenue efforts. It will help in addressing underlying fiscal challenges facing many developing countries. This is the positive change we are looking for.
Participants for the 3-day training were from Ghana, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Togo, Cape Verde, and Benin. It was organized in cooperation with the Ghana Revenue Authority, GIZ, European Union, ECOWAS, and Ford Foundation. Beatrice Senaju, GBC24, Accra.
Bank market, where the dollar is trading at 3 cedis 94 pesos, the pound at 5 cedis 12 pesos, and the euro at 4 cedis 44 pesos. Good evening and welcome to the midweek edition of the health segment of the news, brought to you by FPAC. My name is Evans Echampon. The country's maternal and neonatal health services is to receive a $9 million boost to improve service delivery in the 3 northern regions. The project, which starts from January next year, will be implemented by the Ghana Health Service with support from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The project is the 3rd phase of the community-based health planning and services CHIPS system.
The aim of the project is to strengthen the implementation of CHIPS, where access to primary health care is limited. The first phase was implemented from 2006 to 2010, which provided quality training to community health officers, development of materials, and building of CHIPS monitoring system. The second phase, which will end next month, also started in 2011 with the aim of strengthening maternal and neonatal health within the framework of the CHIPS implementation. So far, antenatal care has increased to 60%. It has also provided skilled delivery to 70%, and postnatal care has also improved to 75% in the Upper West region. The acting Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Winfred Ofosu, said the utilization of the chip in the 3 northern region, especially in the Upper West, has yielded good results.
As at half year this year, we are at 105 per 100,000 live births. So we can see that with the intervention, really there has been improvement in maternal and child health in the Upper West region.
In Upper West region, what they've done is that the committee comes together, then they collect funds, one cedi from every household into a committee fund, and they use that one to finance the transportation of that person to the hospital, so that then it doesn't come from the person's pocket.
We are happy to make sure that there is improvement. And I think not all, but that largely and the partly we could contribute to the improvement of the health condition in that upper region.
The Director of Policy Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Division of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kokwa Awuno, described the 2 phases as successful.
When you put community health nurses in communities to work with all kinds of support from the community, community health volunteers, community health management committees, the nurse is himself or herself working in the community, you have better health outcomes.
The Minister of Health, Mr. Alex Segbefia, said the implementation of the policy on chips as well as improvement in maternal and child health care are important targets on the ministry's agenda of achieving universal health coverage.
The cornerstone of our MDG strategy now, this SDGs over the next 15 years, is the chip compound policy and principle. I personally believe that that is the answer to the problems we face in terms of primary health care and their ability to attain universal health coverage.
The pillars for the project strategy include community sensitization on maternal and neonatal health using chips, capacity strengthening of health personnel in health centers.
Okay. That's all in this segment tonight, brought to you by FPAC, blows your pain away. International news returns shortly after the break. Stay tuned.
Good evening. Let's update ourselves from happenings in the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The National Women's Football League Board has proposed a 10,000 Ghana cedi as prize money for the winners of this year's league and a 5,000 cedi reward for the runners-up. The same amount will go for the winners of the Sanford World Clinic Women's FA Cup competition. This was revealed by the Vice Chairperson of the Women's League Board, Rosalind Amu, at a news conference in Accra.
Of the National Women's League this season will receive 10,000 Ghana cedis and the runners-up will receive 5,000 cedis. It is still not enough compared to the men, but in the absence of nothing, little will do. So we have agreed upon that, and we are hoping that when we get sponsorship, we would be able to increase the amounts subsequently. Somebody may also be asking of the Sanford Women's FA Cup, the prize monies. As of now, the sponsors are deliberating, but from the budget that we had, I know some people may not want to hear it, but the prize money that we proposed was 10,000 cedis for the winners and 5,000 cedis for the runners-up. We are hoping that this will also be uploaded or agreed upon by the executive committee so that on that day we will do the presentation. Nonetheless, the sponsor also says he deserves the right to decide to increase the money. So it may come without saying that they may top up. They've already promised that they would replace the trophy that we bought earlier because they think it is too small and not befitting of Sanford's status. So that alone is a huge investment. Besides the winners, we will also present medals. For the first time, there will be medal presentation for the winners and runners-up, both for the league and then the Sanford Women's FA Cup. And I think it is an improvement upon our performance last season.
Still staying with football, but this time to the junior national team and the national under-17 male football team. The Black Starlets will leave Ghana for their second leg qualifier against Burkina Faso in an African under-17 qualifiers. Ghana walks into the return leg of the game riding on the back of a 5-1 advantage over their Burkinabe counterparts. Though very thunderous for the Burkinabes, the Ghanaians are expected to nail them at their own backyard to avoid them causing any surprises. Coach Pakwesi Febin and his boys will be hoping to secure a favorable result in order to make it to the next round of the qualifiers. A contingent made up of 18 players and officials and management are expected to leave to Burkina Faso. The Black Starlets are chasing a Nations Cup berth, having missed out on the last edition of the competition after fielding an unqualified player. The Ghana Amputee Football Association will from October 28 to 30 host a special mini international tournament at the Accra Sports Stadium. The tournament is aimed at preaching peace ahead of the upcoming general elections. The national amputee football team, the Black Challenge, will be playing host to Liberia and Sierra Leone in 2 months' time. The mini international competition is the association's efforts at promoting peace before, during and after the upcoming general elections. Launching the competition at the Freedom Center in Accra, the chairman of the Ghana Amputee Football Association, Reverend Richard Adesa, touched on the format for the competition.
The need for caution has prompted the association to take measures to contribute its quota to that of other institutions and individuals to make Ghana the harbinger of peace in the continent. The association is therefore inviting the national teams of Liberia and Sierra Leone to a special mini international tournament scheduled to take place in Ghana from October 28th to the 30th at the Accra Sports Stadium this year. The tournament will be on the round-robin basis with other identifiable groups such as the Actors Guild, among many others. In fact, we are even planning to meet the Sports Writers Association and some other groups as well.
Former Black Stars and Hearts of Folk player Douglas Tego, now a traditional leader, called on all to embrace the initiative.
Most of our amputee people we have in Ghana, it by accident or by birth, but they have their amputee status through war. It is very crucial, like you say, that they may come and they may share ideas to us or with us together, so that we may all know that this shouldn't be something which we'll be thinking of.
The national team captain, Richard Atao Pentel, called for support.
Over here, the little amputations that we have, even taking care of them is very difficult. So we, the Ghana national amputee soccer team, have taken it to ourselves that this is the quota we can also offer to the society in terms of preaching peace.
Officials say they are working hard to see to the start of the first National Amputee Football League. We have more news on our social media page, Facebook. Go to the Find News Sports GBC24. That's all for sports. For now, entertainment is next.
Welcome back to the news. In the arts and entertainment segment, it has become a sales gimmick for some commercial bus operators to install television sets in their vehicle to entertain passengers. Passengers interested in the usual local movies never regret boarding such buses. GBC24 walks you through the experience in Accra.
From one point to another might seem boring. The only way to take away the boredom is by playing games with your phone, chatting with friends, or listening to music on your phone, especially when the radio in the car is offering nothing better. To make road travel a joyful one for passengers, some tractor drivers have installed a small flat screen television sets in their vehicles to provide entertainment. Some drivers explained the benefit of having a television set in the vehicle.
Passengers, sometimes
we show funny movies whilst passengers wait for the vehicle to load. By the time they realize the car is full.
Funny. It almost before na Basono. That is a car na ma we hutama. Car na ma.
Ebia ene kunkumba jabe. and I say GTV or pursue TOM news.
Some want to watch a particular program or news. Once you show that, they become satisfied.
We asked some passengers if they found the TVs on the buses useful.
Most of the times they are showing some Asante Akan movie that I'm not interested in, or because I want to watch something like Fast and Furious, and they are showing something that it's really local. But I understand because it's for the moms and dads in the car. I'm a young guy. I like American movies and stuff like that. So
I sometimes don't really concentrate, but you hear people laughing and you look at it and it looks really nice.
Also in this segment, a big blow to the art industry. The Ghanaian showbiz industry has yet again lost another veteran. Reliable information available to GBC24 Entertainment News indicates that veteran Ghanaian actor Kofi Middleton Mens has died.
The veteran actor is well known for his catchphrase, "Sarah, my socks." A television commercial for Key Soap had been off the television screens for some years now.
Ain't na mama say we are srunku yo. Na so mama on pemasamo. Oh, make Key Soap you want dancing na mridi yo. What they say we prepare Daniel.
He is also known for his role in Grey Dawn and No Tears for Anansi.
You dead coal. You breathe fire from your mouth, but your deeds are worthless. Mansa Musa is building a fortress of a palace.
The late Kofi Middleton Mens was a lecturer at the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI, and the University of Ghana. He stopped lecturing about 2 years ago. Kofi Middleton Mens turned 77 in June this year and is survived by a wife and 3 children. The actor died on Tuesday, August 16, 2016, at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Curtains on News Hour here on GBC24 and also on GTV.
We'll be back at 10:30 with a late edition, but coming up shortly is Moment Tonight. It is right on your news channel GBC24. Have a good evening.